Hello, I'm David Breeden. I'm the senior minister at First Unitarian Society of Minneapolis, a historically humanist congregation, and this is Coffee and Wisdom, where we take a humanist perspective on theological and philosophical questions. This week, I've been talking about charisma, inspiration, and the muse. That is, tuning into the muses is, of course, what we call inspiration. To inspire comes from the Latin spirare, to breathe. And so inspirare is to breathe or blow into. As I mentioned on Tuesday, this means uh, pictures this as coming in to people from somewhere else. Charisma comes from the Greek charismata, meaning gifts or graces. And again, you get a gift, you don't just self generate a gift. So the idea here is that inspiration from the muses in terms of creativity and wisdom comes from outside of us. This is the traditional way of seeing it. And so we have classical paintings in which we have muses gathering around as we pipe on the pipes and play stringed instruments and create poetry of various kinds. And on Tuesday, I did mention the nine muses and the differences between them. All over classical art, you're going to see muses somehow descending, somehow whispering in the ear of people to give them inspiration. The Greeks were very into this idea. They also talked about mania. We nowadays we see that as a psychological problem. They did not. Being out of the regular frame of mind was part of being inspired. Also, they talked about in theos, where we get the term enthusiasm, but into the theos, the gods come into. They also had theoleptos, which is when nymphs and those kinds of lesser beings, but still godlike, would come into people, and then enthusiasmos. And that is a larger idea than just the gods of some sort coming in. As a matter of fact, it's part of the oracle at Delphi idea. The Pythia at Delphi sat over some kind of fissure in the earth. Nowadays, we speculate that it probably had some sort of hallucinogenic gas emitting. We don't know that. But the statements that the Pythia, the priestess at Delphi, would say that they were assuming were coming from the gods often didn't make a great deal of sense and had to be made sense of by the people who were told these very mysterious things. But we know that, well, yes, hallucinogenic drugs are still in the framework of, by some folks as seeing as inspiration. But where does inspiration really come from? I like this quote from Maya Angelou, who said, "What I try to do is write. I may write for 2 weeks. The cat sat on the mat. That is that, not a rat. And it may be just the most boring and awful stuff, but I try. When I'm writing, I write. And then it's as if the muse is convinced that I'm serious and says, okay, okay, I'll come." And we hear this kind of talk from a lot of contemporary writers that they still use the term muse, even though they're pretty clear that that's not the old Greek idea. Aroma Elway says, "I am my own muse. I am the subject I know best, the subject I want to know better. So I'm going to be my own muse. I'm going to be my own inspiration." The writer Ron Kortke, poet, says, "I'm not a big fan of inspiration. I'm too old to sit and wait for the muse to give me a little kiss. I write a lot, and I'm not afraid to make mistakes or to write badly. I can always fix something weak and dull, but I can't fix a blank page." So these writers talking about how they're going to go on writing until they do find that inspiration. Charles Bukowski famously said, writing about a writer's block is better than not writing at all. And that's probably a pretty good opinion to have if you're looking for inspiration and you just don't hear those muses singing to you. Jody Picoult, a writer, says this: I don't believe in writer's block. Think about it. When you were blocked in college and had to write a paper, didn't it always manage to fix itself the night before the paper was due? Writer's block is having too much time on your hands. A lot of truth in that, probably, right? And you can even get the t-shirt, writer's block, when your imaginary friends won't talk to you. So, writer's block being those times when the muses aren't singing in your ear, but no, that's probably not how it happens anyway. The singer-songwriter Nick Cave says, most people wait for the muse to turn up. That's terribly unreliable. I have to sit down and pursue the muse by attempting to work. And again, you see a pattern here. We're not waiting for inspiration. We're going to go find it for ourselves. Kurt Vonnegut said, we have to continually be jumping off cliffs and developing our wings on the way down. So writing is an exercise in danger, in making mistakes, in not quite getting it right, but we do it anyway. And that's kind of the message that contemporary or more contemporary writers have for us. So inspiration, well, inspire, it's not coming that spire from outside, but rather from our own psyches, our own minds. Psyche, of course, again, being a Greek idea that we have reinterpreted over time. Thanks for listening this week. Next week, I'm going to go more into the idea of charisma. I've been talking inspiration mostly this week. Charisma is something else, although the Greeks saw it in a matrix of inspiring and charisma as gifts from outside. Yeah, we all know charisma when we see it, but what the heck is it? Well, we'll have to ask the muse about that next week. Thanks for joining me this week. And every Friday at 9 a.m. Central Time, I do a live talk, Coffee with the Minister. If you would like to have that Zoom link, just email me, minister@firstunitarian.org. Thanks so much for listening, and go out and find some inspiration, huh?